First contact, the crash. Commander Sarah Chen exhaled sharply as her scout ship's warning systems blared to life. Red emergency lights bathed the cockpit in an ominous glow as the vessel shuddered violently, caught in the gravitational pull of an uncharted planet. Navigation, give me options, she barked, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. The ship's AI responded with static-filled urgency. Critical system failure. Unknown energy field detected. All propulsion systems compromised. Sarah's military training kicked in as she assessed her situation. This was supposed to be a routine reconnaissance mission for the Earth Defense Force, scouting the edges of known space for potential colony sites. Instead, her ship was being dragged down by some kind of energy field she'd never encountered before. Through the viewscreen, she watched as the darkness of space gave way to a stunning azure atmosphere. The planet below was a tapestry of emerald forests and crystalline structures that caught the light of 3 moons, sending rainbow refractions across the landscape. Computer, emergency landing protocols. Sarah commanded, fighting with the controls. The ship's hull groaned in protest as she attempted to angle their descent. At least give me a chance to survive this, she muttered through gritted teeth. The ground rushed up to meet her, a clearing in the dense forest providing her only hope for survival. Sarah braced for impact as the ship's emergency systems engaged, coating the cockpit in protective foam. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was a flash of movement in the trees, something distinctly humanoid. Sarah awoke to the sound of soft whispers and the sensation of cool hands against her face. Her eyes fluttered open, vision slowly focusing on the beings surrounding her. She had to blink several times to make sure she wasn't hallucinating. They were humanoid, but utterly alien in their beauty. Tall, graceful figures with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Their eyes were large and cat-like, ranging in color from deep purple to brilliant gold. But what struck Sarah most was their uniformity. They all appeared female, their bodies athletic and powerful. Well, Sarah croaked, wincing at the pain in her ribs, this is definitely first contact. She reached slowly for her universal translator, relieved to find it still functional. One of the aliens stepped forward, her movements liquid and predatory. She wore what appeared to be some kind of ceremonial armor, intricate patterns swirling across its surface. The alien spoke, her voice melodic and complex. Sarah's translator processed for a moment before providing, "You are different. You are like the legends." Sarah's brow furrowed. "I'm Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. My ship was caught in some kind of energy field. I mean no harm." The alien leader's eyes widened at the sound of Sarah's voice. She turned to her companions, speaking rapidly in their native tongue. Sarah's translator struggled to keep up. The visitor has the deep voice of the ancient ones. But how can this be? Sarah slowly pushed herself to a sitting position, noting how the aliens tensed at her movement. "I don't understand. What ancient ones?" The leader knelt beside her, studying Sarah's face intently. "I am High Warrior Zara of the Luminary. Our histories speak of beings like you, with deeper voices and different forms, but none have been seen for 1,000 cycles." Realization dawned on Sarah. These beings had never seen a male bodied individual, and her slightly deeper voice and muscular build were confusing them. She was about to clarify when Zara's hand brushed against her arm, sending an unexpected tingle through her body. "You are injured," Zara observed, her golden eyes showing concern. "You must come with us to the healing chambers. The council will want to speak with you." As several luminari helped Sarah to her feet, she caught glimpses of advanced technology integrated seamlessly with the natural world around them. Crystal spires rose in the distance, pulsing with internal light. Flying vessels that seemed to be made of living metal darted between the trees. "Your civilization," Sarah said, gesturing to the beautiful integration of nature and technology. "It's incredible." Zara nodded, pleased by the compliment. "We are the keepers of balance. Technology and nature, power and peace, all must exist in harmony." She paused, studying Sarah again. Perhaps your arrival was not chance, Commander Sarah Chen. Our seers have spoken of a time when the balance would shift, when someone from beyond would help us face a coming darkness. Sarah felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders as she limped toward what appeared to be a transport vessel. She crashed on an alien world, discovered a civilization that challenged everything she knew about gender and technology, and apparently figured into some ancient prophecy. All in all, not bad for a Tuesday. As the transport lifted off, carrying them toward the Crystal City, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her routine reconnaissance mission had just become something far more significant. The way the luminary watched her, with a mixture of curiosity, reverence, and something else she couldn't quite identify, told her that her survival might have implications far beyond simple first contact. Little did she know, high above the planet's surface, the energy field that had dragged her down was pulsing with increasing intensity. Something had awakened in response to her arrival, and the true test of humanity's worth in this strange new world was about to begin. The healing chamber's discovery. The crystal transport vessel glided silently through the magnificent city, giving Sarah her first real glimpse of luminary civilization. Towering spires of living crystal reached toward the violet sky, their surfaces rippling with patterns of light that seemed to respond to the movements of the beings below. Streets filled with luminari of various ranks, distinguished by their armor patterns, moved with purposeful grace. Your technology, Sarah marveled, pressing a hand against the transport's transparent wall. It's unlike anything we've encountered in our explorations. She winced, a sharp pain in her side reminding her of the crash. Zara noticed her discomfort. The healing chamber will tend to your wounds soon, Commander. But first, I must warn you, our medical procedures may seem strange to you. The transport docked at a structure that resembled a blooming flower made of crystal and living metal. As they helped Sarah inside, she noticed the walls pulsed with a soft, blue-green light that seemed to follow their movement. The air itself felt charged with energy. Please remove your damaged attire, one of the medical attendants requested through Sarah's translator. The healing energies must have direct contact. Sarah hesitated, then began removing her torn flight suit, keeping her undergarments in place. The luminary watched with undisguised fascination, particularly at the various scars that marked her body, testament to her years of military service. These markings, Zara said, tracing a faded line on Sarah's shoulder. They tell stories of battle. Some of them, Sarah replied, trying not to shiver at the alien's touch. We heal differently than you, it seems. The medical chamber itself was a marvel of biotechnology. A pool of luminescent liquid occupied the center, its surface rippling with patterns that matched Sarah's heartbeat. The attendants guided her into the pool, and the liquid immediately began to glow brighter. Fascinating, one of the medical attendants murmured, studying readings on a crystalline display. Her cellular structure is remarkably resilient, and these energy patterns. Sarah felt a tingling sensation as the liquid worked its way into her injuries. The pain began to fade, replaced by a warm, pleasant sensation. But something else was happening. She could feel the liquid responding to her in an unexpected way, the glow intensifying beyond what the attendants seemed to expect. This is unprecedented, Zara observed, her golden eyes wide. The healing matrix is synchronizing with her energy signature at levels we've only seen in ancient records. As the procedure continued, Sarah's mind began to fill with fleeting images, vast crystal cities, battles against shadowy forces, and something else. A darkness gathering at the edges of space, she gasped, sitting up in the pool. You saw something, Zara stated, not asking. The ancient memories. Sarah nodded, water dripping from her now-held body. Your civilization. It's older than you know, isn't it? And there's something coming. Something you faced before. The medical chamber fell silent. The attendants exchanged worried glances before quickly excusing themselves, leaving Sarah alone with Zara and two honor guards. What we're about to discuss, Zara said, her voice low and serious, is known only to the highest ranks of our society. She helped Sarah from the pool, offering her a shimmering robe that seemed to adjust its size to fit her perfectly. The energy field that brought down your ship. It's part of an ancient defense system designed to protect our world from something our ancestors faced, something that nearly destroyed us. But the system has been acting strangely lately, activating on its own, as if it senses a threat. Sarah dried herself, processing this information. And my arrival? Was it really an accident? Zara's expression became troubled. Our seers have spoken of a warrior from beyond the stars, one who would carry within them the key to our survival. When I saw you emerge from that crash, she paused, placing a hand over Sarah's heart. Your energy signature, your cellular structure, they're remarkably similar to readings we've detected from our most ancient artifacts. Before Sarah could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the city. The crystal walls pulsed with urgent red patterns, and Zara's communication device chimed with emergency signals. The defense grid, Zara explained, her expression grim. It's detecting multiple objects entering our system. The patterns match those from our oldest records. Sarah moved to the chamber's window, watching as the peaceful sky began to fill with swirling energy patterns. Her military instincts kicked in, analyzing the situation. Whatever's coming, she said, turning to Zara with determination, I'll help you face it. Earth Defense Force protocol states that any civilization under threat from an unknown aggressor is to be offered assistance. Besides, she added with a slight smile, I seem to be involved in this whether I planned to be or not. Zara returned the smile, but her eyes remained troubled. There's more you need to know, Commander. About why our society lacks the diversity you're accustomed to, about the true nature of the ancient threat, and about why your arrival might be more significant than either of us realized. As if to emphasize her words, the crystal walls around them began to resonate with a deep, ancient frequency. The same energy field that had brought down Sarah's ship was awakening fully, responding to whatever threat approached their world. And somewhere in the vast database of luminary history, records were being accessed automatically, records that spoke of a time when their world had known greater diversity, before a choice was made that would shape their society for millennia to come. The stage was set for revelations that would challenge everything Sarah thought she knew about humanity's place in the galaxy, and her own role in events that had been set in motion long before her crash landing on this mysterious world. The truth unveiled. The crystal archive chamber hummed with ancient energy as Sarah followed Zara through rows of luminescent data crystals. Each crystal contained millennia of luminary history, their surfaces dancing with light as they passed. The emergency alarms had subsided, but the tension in the air remained palpable. Our world wasn't always as you see it now, Zara began, approaching a particularly old crystal. 5,000 cycles ago, our society was much like what I imagine yours to be, diverse, with different physical forms among our people. But then they came. She placed her hand on the crystal, and suddenly the chamber filled with holographic images. Sarah watched in awe as scenes from ancient history played out around them. The luminari of the past appeared different. Their population included what appeared to be male counterparts, their cities even more magnificent than the present day. We called them the Void Hunters, Zara continued, her voice heavy with ancestral memory. They were beings of pure energy, feeding on genetic diversity itself. They would invade worlds, manipulating and consuming the genetic essence of species, leaving only hollow shells behind. The holographic display shifted, showing terrifying creatures of darkness and energy, their forms constantly shifting as they attacked the ancient luminary. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she watched the historical battles unfold. Our ancestors made a desperate choice, Zara explained, waving her hand to advance the recording. Our greatest scientists discovered that the hunters were attracted to worlds with significant genetic variance. The more diverse a population, the more strongly they were drawn to it. So your people, Sarah began, understanding dawning on her face. Yes, we engineered our entire species, Commander. reduced our genetic diversity to its minimum viable expression. We became a single-gender species, uniform in our appearance and biology. It was the only way to make our world less attractive to the hunters. The images showed the transformation of Luminari society, the implementation of their plan, and the eventual retreat of the Void Hunters. But Sarah noticed something else in the recordings, certain individuals who seemed to glow with a particular energy signature, one that looked remarkably similar to her own readings from the healing chamber. These ones, Sarah pointed, they're different. Zara nodded gravely. The Guardians. They were a special lineage among our people, carriers of an energy the Void Hunters couldn't consume. But they were lost in the Great Transformation. Also, we thought. She turned to Sarah, her golden eyes intense. Until you arrived. A sudden tremor shook the archive chamber. Above them, through the crystal ceiling, they could see the planet's defense grid lighting up with increased activity. Sarah's military training kicked in as she analyzed the patterns. Those look like preparation for an invasion, she observed. Your ancient enemies, they're returning, aren't they? Yes, Zara confirmed. But there's more. The genetic engineering that saved us, it's breaking down. Each generation, more of our people are born with variations. The uniformity that protected us is failing. The hunters must sense it. Sarah processed this information, her mind racing. That's why the defense system reacted to me. I'm not just similar to your ancient guardians. I might be what you need to face this threat. Before Zara could respond, a young Luminari warrior burst into the chamber. High warrior, the council demands your presence. Our long-range sensors have detected multiple void rifts forming at the edge of our system. Sarah straightened, her commander's instincts taking over. How long do we have? 3 planetary rotations at most, the warrior reported, eyeing Sarah with a mixture of curiosity and hope. Zara turned to Sarah, her expression both fierce and vulnerable. Commander Chen, I know you crash-landed here by chance, but our ancient prophecies speak of a time when the stars would send us a warrior carrying the essence of the Guardians. Someone who would help us face the darkness again. Just to be clear, Sarah said with a wry smile, you're asking me to help you fight energy beings that eat genetic diversity, using some kind of ancient power I supposedly have, all while your society is potentially on the brink of a massive transformation. Yes, Zara replied simply. Will you help us? Sarah looked around the chamber, at the records of a civilization that had sacrificed so much to survive. She thought of her own people back on Earth, blissfully unaware of the threat these Void Hunters posed to all diverse life in the galaxy. The choice was clear. I'll help, she said firmly, but we do this my way. I need to know everything about these Guardians and their powers, and we need to prepare your people for change, both the coming battle and the transformations they're experiencing. No more hiding from who you are. Zara's face lit up with a fierce joy. The council chamber is this way. It's time they met the warrior from the stars. As they hurried through the crystal corridors, Sarah couldn't help but notice how the very walls seemed to pulse with energy in her presence. Whatever power lay dormant in her genes, whatever connection she had to this world's ancient protectors, it was awakening. The Void Hunters were coming, drawn by the increasing genetic diversity of the Luminari and the presence of Sarah herself. But this time, the Luminari wouldn't face them by hiding who they were. This time, they would fight, with a guardian from Earth leading the way. The Council's challenge. The Grand Council chamber of the Luminari was a marvel of crystal engineering. 12 towering seats arranged in a circle, each occupied by a council elder, their ceremonial armor gleaming with internal light. The chamber's walls pulsed with living energy, responding to the tension in the room as Sarah and Zara entered. So, spoke the chief elder, her ancient eyes fixed on Sarah, this is the off-worlder who carries the Guardian's essence. Her voice echoed with authority gained through centuries of leadership. Sarah stood tall, meeting each council member's gaze. I'm Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. I understand you're facing a threat that could affect not just your world, but potentially all diverse life in the galaxy. You understand nothing, another elder cut in sharply. The Void Hunters destroyed countless civilizations before we found our solution. Our uniformity is our shield. A shield that's cracking, Zara countered, stepping forward. Show them, Commander. Sarah nodded, remembering what they discovered in the archives. She approached the center of the chamber, where a crystal pedestal stood. Following Zara's earlier instructions, she placed her hand on its surface. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The crystal blazed with brilliant light, patterns of energy racing through the chamber's walls. The elders gasped as ancient symbols began appearing in the air around them, the language of the Guardians, not seen for millennia. Impossible, whispered one elder, leaning forward. The pedestal responds only to Guardian energy signatures. Not impossible, the chief elder corrected, rising from her seat. Prophesied. She descended to the chamber floor, her movements graceful despite her apparent age. Commander, what you've just activated is a Guardian training interface, one that hasn't functioned since the Great Transformation. Suddenly, the holographic displays shifted, showing tactical data. The Void Hunter fleet's approach was clearly visible. Dozens of writhing energy vessels, each capable of devastating entire continents. 48 hours until they reach our outer defense grid, Zara reported grimly. Our conventional weapons will be useless against them. Then we need unconventional weapons, Sarah said, studying the tactical display. Tell me about the Guardians' powers. How did they fight these things? The chief elder waved her hand, and the holographic display changed to show ancient battles. Sarah watched in amazement as Guardians of the past channeled pure energy, creating shields and weapons of light that could harm the otherwise intangible Void Hunters. The power came from within, the elder explained. The Guardians could channel the same basic energy that gives our crystals life, but it required years of training, discipline. She stopped short as Sarah, acting on instinct, reached out toward one of the crystal columns. Energy crackled between her fingers and the surface, creating patterns she somehow recognized deep in her DNA. Or perhaps, Sarah said, surprised by her own abilities, it just needs the right catalyst. The energy followed her movements as she pulled her hand back, forming a shimmering blade of pure light. The council chamber erupted in excited murmurs. Zora's eyes shone with hope and something more, pride, perhaps, or affection. Even if you can access Guardian powers, another elder interjected, you are but one warrior. The hunters come in legions. Then we adapt, Sarah replied, letting the energy blade dissipate. Your people's genetic diversity is returning naturally. Instead of fighting it, we use it. The varied energy signatures of your changing population might be exactly what we need to power a defense grid strong enough to repel their fleet. You're suggesting we abandon 5,000 cycles of tradition, an elder asked, aghast. I'm suggesting you embrace who you're becoming, Sarah corrected. Your ancestors chose uniformity to survive. Now survival requires change. The chief elder studied Sarah for a long moment before speaking. What you propose is radical, dangerous, and possibly our only hope. She turned to Zara. High Warrior, you will assist Commander Chen in preparing our defenses. You have full authority to utilize any resources needed. As they left the council chamber, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. She had just over 48 hours to master powers she barely understood and help an entire civilization embrace change they've been avoiding for millennia. The training facilities are this way, Zara said, leading her through the crystal corridors. But first, she stopped, turning to face Sarah. There's something you should know. The genetic variations appearing in our population, they're most common among my squad of warriors, including me. To demonstrate, Zara closed her eyes in concentration. The patterns of light in her armor shifted, and for a moment, her form seemed to flicker between the standard luminary appearance and something else, something more diverse, more individual. That's why you recognized what I was when I crashed, Sarah realized. You're already changing. Yes, Zara admitted. And now we have to convince an entire civilization to accept that change is not only inevitable, but necessary for survival. She stepped closer to Sarah, her voice softening. The old stories say the guardians and the warriors fought side by side, their bonds giving them strength beyond measure. Sarah felt her heart race at Zora's proximity, the air between them charged with more than just crystal energy. "Then let's make history repeat itself," she said quietly. As they headed to the training facilities, the defense grid above pulsed with increasing urgency. The Void Hunters were coming, drawn by the very changes the Luminary could no longer prevent. But this time, they would find more than just prey waiting for them. They would find a civilization ready to evolve, led by a guardian from the stars and a warrior who dared to change. The next 48 hours would determine not just the fate of the Luminary, but potentially the course of genetic diversity throughout the galaxy. The battle begins. The training chamber thrummed with energy as Sarah faced off against holographic Void Hunters, her newly awakened guardian powers manifesting as streams of brilliant light. 24 hours had passed since the council meeting, and every minute had been spent preparing for the coming battle. Again, Zora called out, monitoring Sarah's progress. "The hunters will attack in waves. You must conserve your energy while maintaining defensive formations." Sarah nodded, sweat beading on her forehead as she channeled another burst of power. The crystal walls amplified her abilities, creating shields of pure energy that could repel the shadowy forms of the practiced targets. Behind her, a squad of Luminary warriors watched intently, their own forms flickering with signs of emerging genetic diversity. "Your warriors are ready?" Sarah asked between breaths, dispelling the last holographic hunter. "They are," Zora confirmed, pride evident in her voice. "The genetic changes have accelerated in the past day. Many can now channel small amounts of crystal energy. Not as powerful as your guardian abilities, but together. Together we might stand a chance," Sarah finished, turning to face the assembled warriors. Each one showed subtle signs of transformation, varying heights, different facial features, even slight variations in their crystalline armor patterns. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the city. The tactical display in the training chamber flared to life, showing multiple Void Hunter vessels breaching the outer defense grid ahead of schedule. "They're early," Zora said grimly, checking the readings. "The first wave will reach the city in 1 hour." Sarah's commander instincts kicked in. "Then we move now. Get your warriors to their positions. I'll coordinate with the council to activate the modified defense grid." As the warriors rushed to prepare, Zora caught Sarah's arm. "The changes in our people, they're happening faster than we anticipated. Some are experiencing full transformations." "The hunters must be accelerating the process somehow," Sarah theorized. "Their approach is affecting your genetic structure, but we can use that to our advantage." They hurried through the crystal corridors, passing groups of citizens being led to shelter. Many showed visible signs of transformation, their once uniform appearance giving way to natural variation. Some looked scared, others seemed almost relieved to finally embrace their true forms. In the central defense control chamber, the chief elder awaited them. The ancient Luminary's own appearance had begun to shift, her formerly crystalline features taking on a more organic quality. "The modifications to the defense grid are complete," she reported, "but the power requirements are immense. Are you certain about this plan, Commander?" Sarah approached the main control crystal, placing her hand on its surface. Energy immediately flowed from her into the city's systems, creating new patterns of light throughout the crystalline structures. "Your people's returning diversity isn't a weakness," Sarah explained, maintaining the energy flow. "Each unique genetic signature creates its own energy pattern. By linking them together through the crystal network, we create a defense field as complex and varied as life itself," Zora finished. "Something the Void Hunters can't easily counter." Above the city, the sky had turned an ominous purple-black as the first Void Hunter vessels descended. They were massive things of writhing darkness, their forms constantly shifting as they sought to absorb genetic energy from the world below. "Warriors to your positions," Zara commanded through the communication crystal. Throughout the city, transformed luminari took their places at power amplification nodes, ready to channel their unique energy signatures into the defense grid. Sarah stood at the center of it all, her guardian powers flowing through the crystal network, linking with each warrior's contribution. Through the connection, she could feel the fear, determination, and hope of every luminary participating in the defense. "They're starting their attack run," an operator reported, tracking the hunter's descent. "All warriors, channel your energy on my mark," Sarah commanded, her voice carrying through the crystal network. She felt Zara's presence beside her, strong and reassuring. The first Void Hunter vessel launched its attack, sending tendrils of dark energy toward the city. But as they approached, something unexpected happened. The combined energy signatures of thousands of transformed luminari, amplified by Sarah's guardian powers, created a shield unlike anything the hunters had encountered before. The dark tendrils recoiled, unable to process or absorb the complexity of the defense field. More hunters joined the attack, only to face the same resistance. "It's working," Zara exclaimed, watching through the tactical display. "Their absorption fields can't handle the genetic diversity we're channeling." But the victory was far from assured. More hunter vessels appeared, adapting their attack patterns. The strain of maintaining the defense field began to show on the warriors, and even Sarah's enhanced abilities were being tested. "They're learning," Sarah gritted through clenched teeth. "We need more power, more diversity in the field." Zara made a quick decision. "Open the shelters," she commanded. "Let any citizen who has experienced transformation join the defense. Every unique signature adds to our strength." As civilian volunteers rushed to join the defense, adding their energy to the network, Sarah felt something extraordinary happening. The Crystal City itself seemed to be awakening, responding to the combined power of its transformed inhabitants. The Chief Elder watched in amazement as ancient systems, dormant for millennia, began to activate. "The prophecy spoke of this," she whispered, "when the people would remember who they truly were, when diversity would become strength once again." The battle for the luminary homeworld had begun in earnest. Above the crystal spires, light and darkness clashed in a spectacular display of power. But the true victory wasn't just in the defense against the Void Hunters. It was in the transformation of an entire civilization, rediscovering the strength that comes from embracing change and celebrating difference. As Sarah channeled her guardian powers through the crystal network, connected to thousands of unique luminary energy signatures, she realized that this was more than just a battle for survival. It was a revolution of spirit, a return to the true nature of life itself, beautiful in its infinite variety. Evolution's victory. The battle had raged for hours, the sky above the Crystal City a chaos of light and shadow. Sarah stood at the heart of the defense network, her guardian powers flowing through the crystal matrix, amplifying the combined energy signatures of thousands of transformed luminari. Her body ached with exhaustion, but determination kept her standing. "Third wave incoming," Zara shouted from her tactical position. "They're adapting their attack pattern again." The Void Hunters had indeed evolved their strategy. Instead of trying to absorb genetic energy directly, they now attempted to disrupt the crystal network itself, targeting the connections between defenders. Dark tendrils of void energy probed for weaknesses in their unified defense. "Everyone, shift to Formation Delta," Sarah commanded through the network. She felt the immediate response as warriors and civilians alike adjusted their energy contributions, creating a more complex defensive pattern. "They want to divide us. Let's show them what real unity looks like." In the hours since the battle began, the transformation of the luminary had accelerated dramatically. Throughout the city, citizens emerged from their chrysalis state, displaying unprecedented genetic diversity. Some developed crystalline wings, others manifested new energy manipulation abilities. Each unique change added another layer of complexity to their defense. The chief elder, now barely recognizable from her former uniform appearance, monitored the ancient systems. The city's core crystal is responding to the combined energy signatures. It's awakening. Deep beneath the surface, the massive heart crystal that powered their civilization began to pulse with new life. The very ground trembled as ancient machinery, dormant for millennia, whirred to life. "Sarah," Zara called out urgently. "The core crystal, it's trying to connect with your guardian energy." Acting on instinct, Sarah reached out with her powers, connecting not just with the Defender network, but with the city's heart itself. The moment their energies touched, a flood of ancient memories filled her mind. She saw the original Guardians, working in harmony with the diverse luminary of the past. She understood now, the Void Hunters hadn't just been attracted to genetic diversity, they had feared it. Because diversity, true diversity, made species adaptable, unpredictable, stronger. "Everyone listen." Sarah's voice carried through the crystal network, reaching every defender. "The heart crystal is showing us the way. We're not just fighting the hunters, we're showing them what they can never understand. Life doesn't thrive through uniformity, it thrives through change." As if responding to her words, the heart crystal released a massive pulse of energy. The power flowed through Sarah, through every transformed luminary, through the very structures of the city. Crystal spires began to shift and change, adopting new forms that reflected the diversity of their inhabitants. Above, the Void Hunters recoiled from this display of evolutionary power. Their dark forms writhed in apparent confusion as their simple absorption tactics proved useless against an enemy that kept changing, adapting, becoming more complex with each passing moment. "They're retreating," Zara announced, watching the tactical display. "The outer vessels are breaking formation." But the largest hunter ship, a massive void in the shape of a twisted spiral, dove toward the city center. It was a last, desperate attack aimed at the heart of their defense. "Everyone, channel everything you have," Sarah commanded. She felt Zara's hand grasp hers, their energies merging perfectly. Throughout the city, transformed luminary joined hands, creating physical connections to match their energetic ones. The combined power of their unified defense met the Void Hunters' attack in a spectacular collision of light and darkness. For a moment, the two forces seemed evenly matched. Then something extraordinary happened. The heart crystal's energy, amplified by the diversity of thousands of unique genetic signatures and focused through Sarah's guardian powers, began to transform the void energy itself. Where there was darkness, light began to bloom. The hunter vessel's form started to crystallize, its chaotic void energy transmuted into something new. They weren't just consuming genetic energy, Sarah realized, watching the transformation. They were running from it, from the power of change itself. The crystallization spread rapidly through the hunter fleet. Some vessels fled into deep space, but others, caught in the transformation wave, became beautiful crystal sculptures suspended in the violet sky, monuments to the victory of diversity over stagnation. As the last traces of void energy dissipated, exhausted defenders began to cheer. The luminary had not just survived, they had evolved. Throughout the city, citizens emerged from shelters to see their world transformed. The rigid, uniform structures had given way to an organic variety of crystalline forms, each reflecting the newfound diversity of their society. Zara helped steady Sarah as she finally released her connection to the heart crystal. "You did it," she said softly, her own transformed appearance now stable and uniquely beautiful. "We did it," Sarah corrected, looking out at the celebrating crowds. "All of us together." Speaking of which, she activated her partially repaired emergency beacon. "I should probably let Earth know what happened here. They might want to update their first contact protocols." The chief elder approached them, her ancient eyes bright with joy. "Commander Chen, you have helped us reclaim not just our past, but our future. The age of hiding in uniformity is over. The age of celebration begins." As if to emphasize her words, crystal flowers began blooming throughout the city, each one unique, each one beautiful. The Luminary civilization had faced its greatest fear, change itself, and emerged stronger, more vibrant, more alive. Sarah looked at Zara, saw the love and hope in her eyes, and knew that her accidental crash landing had become something far more significant. She had helped an entire civilization rediscover its true nature, and in doing so, had found where she truly belonged. Above them, the crystallized hunter vessels caught the light of the setting sun, creating rainbows that danced across the transformed city, a reminder that sometimes the greatest threats can become the most beautiful monuments to change. Legacy of change. 3 months after the battle with the Void Hunters, the Crystal City had become a testament to the power of transformation. The once uniform spires now displayed an endless variety of shapes and colors, each structure adapting to reflect the unique energy signatures of its inhabitants. Sarah stood on a balcony of the newly formed Guardian Tower, watching ships arrive from Earth, the first official diplomatic mission to the Luminary homeworld. Nervous? Zara asked, joining her at the railing. The High Warrior's appearance had stabilized into a striking form that combined crystalline features with organic grace, her armor now a living extension of her transformed self. A little, Sarah admitted. It's not every day you explain to your superiors that you not only made first contact, but helped an alien civilization undergo a complete evolutionary renaissance. The Earth ships descended gracefully through the atmosphere, the conventional metal hulls a stark contrast to the living crystal vessels that now served the Luminary. Sarah had spent weeks preparing reports, trying to explain the incredible changes that had occurred here. In the city below, evidence of those changes was everywhere. Young Luminary children played in parks, each displaying unique genetic expressions. Some had developed abilities to shape crystal with a thought, others could communicate directly with the city's living architecture. The rigid uniformity of the past was gone, replaced by a celebration of individual differences. "The council chamber is ready," announced Chief Elder Lyra, herself transformed into a being of such unique beauty that she seemed to glow from within. "The Earth delegation will be arriving shortly." Sarah nodded, straightening her new uniform, a combination of Earth Defense Force design and Luminary crystal tech. As she moved to leave, her hand brushed against the hot crystal shard she now wore as a pendant, a symbol of her position as Guardian Commander. The diplomatic reception took place in the Grand Chamber where, months ago, Sarah had first demonstrated her Guardian powers. Now the room was filled with representatives from both worlds, Earth diplomats in their formal attire standing alongside transformed Luminary in their living crystal garments. Commander Chen, Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward, his eyes wide as he took in the spectacular chamber. "Your reports barely did this place justice." "Wait until you see the best part," Sarah smiled, nodding to Zara. The High Warrior activated the chamber's new systems, and the air filled with holographic displays showing the technological advances the Luminary had made since embracing change. Living ships that could adapt to any environment, healing technologies that worked with genetic diversity rather than against it, and most importantly, defense systems that could detect and transform void energy. The Void Hunters weren't just a threat to the Luminary, Sarah explained to the Earth delegation. "They're still out there, hunting worlds with rich, genetic diversity. Earth would have been a prime target, but now..." She gestured to a demonstration of the new defense technology. "By combining Earth's scientific knowledge with Luminary crystal tech and the lessons we learned about genetic energy, we can protect not just our worlds, but any civilization they might target." The Earth diplomats murmured amongst themselves, clearly impressed. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward again. "You're proposing a formal alliance, then?" "More than that," Zara replied. "We're proposing a partnership. Our peoples have much to learn from each other." To demonstrate, she nodded to a group of transformed Luminary scientists. They activated a special crystal matrix, and suddenly the chamber was filled with a spectacular display of combined technologies. Earth's analytical precision merging perfectly with luminary crystal engineering. The age of isolation is over, Chief Elder Lyra announced. For both our peoples, the Void Hunters taught us the cost of fearing change. Now we embrace it and invite others to join us in exploring the true potential of diversity. As the diplomatic discussions continued, Sarah felt a familiar tingle of energy. The heart crystal was activating again, but this time it wasn't warning of danger. Through her guardian connection, she sensed something new. More worlds, more civilizations, all facing the same choice the luminary had faced: embrace change or hide from it. "You're thinking about the others, aren't you?" Zara asked quietly, taking Sarah's hand. "The worlds we detected, where other species might be hiding from the hunters." Sarah nodded. "They deserve the same chance your people had. To remember who they really are, to stop living in fear." The chief elder overheard them and smiled. "Perhaps that is your true purpose as a guardian, Commander. Not just to protect, but to inspire. To show others that diversity isn't a weakness to be hidden, but a strength to be celebrated." As if in response to her words, the Crystal City pulsed with new energy. Throughout the chamber, Earth diplomats gasped as the walls shifted, creating patterns that harmonized their own genetic signatures with those of the luminary. It was a small demonstration of what was possible when different peoples came together, embracing their unique qualities rather than fearing them. "Well," Sarah said, squeezing Zara's hand, "I suppose we should start planning our next mission. There are a lot of worlds out there that could use a reminder about the power of change." Zara's eyes sparkled with adventure and love. "Think the Earth Defense Force would be interested in a joint operation? A human guardian and a transformed luminary warrior, showing the galaxy a new way forward." Sarah looked around the chamber, at the representatives of two worlds coming together, at the endless possibilities that lay before them. Through the grand windows, she could see the crystallized Void Hunter ships still suspended in the sky, no longer monuments to victory, but reminders that even the greatest threats could be transformed into something beautiful. "I think," she replied with a smile, "this is just the beginning." The heart crystal pulsed warmly in agreement, its energy resonating with the transformed city, with the Earth ships in orbit, and with the countless worlds beyond, worlds that would soon learn that the greatest power in the universe wasn't in remaining unchanged, but in having the courage to become something new.